What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. We are back to another SKF weekly show. It's a little different setup today. Our guy Jose is out on vacation, so we're bringing it to you through StreamYard this time around. So it looks a little different, but not too foreign. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the show as always. The content will be the same, just maybe a little different look.
Yeah.
What's going on, John? How you doing, buddy?
I'll try to be a little bit more reserved today.
Man, listen, you guys don't understand. It's almost like I gotta give this guy a sedative, man. He's just all over the place. You gotta get him to calm down.
Donovan.
Oh, and you know what? Do you have a score check, John? I don't have a score check because tonight, guys, the Mets are playing the Yankees, and you know how it is between us two. I got to check that before we go any further because one of us is going to have bragging rights and the other one not. Ew. Okay, I don't want to talk about it. Listen. Anyway, look at this guy. Oh man. That sucks.
Let's go.
Right now it's 3-0 Yankees, guys, in the top of the 7th.
Yes, sir.
Bad times. I don't want to see it. I don't get it away from me. It's poison. It's nasty. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us and being here as always. Shout out and salute to the chat. Appreciate you guys. Love that you're always here rocking with us. Walter Blackman Jr., I see you. Thank you. David L's in the building. Big task at hand. Freeman 48 is here. Almighty Finesse is here. Angel Torres is in the building. OCD Shaggy is here. What's going on, y'all? As people start to trickle in, there'll be more names to call out later if we can get to everybody. Thank you once again for always supporting the show. Sean Kearns, I see you. What's good? Yeah, I know. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to talk about it because, I don't know, man. Every time we get these offers that come in that apparently the Knicks did or Utah wants, I don't know what's real, what's not. I'm guessing the latest one is real, so we'll definitely get into it. We've got a special guest again today, and let me just say once again, big shout out to Alan Hahn. Thanks again to this gentleman for being with us. It was a fantastic show. I watched that show. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little obsessive and neurotic with shows just to see if I miss stuff. But because that show was so good, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen it like 5 times. So,
are you the 7,000 views?
I could be. I'm like, I can't stop watching it. It's just such a good conversation, and it's a conversation with a guy who I really love watching, Alan Hahn. So the fact that come on, how am I not gonna keep watching it?
Yeah.
Eventually, I'm a chill.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep watching till we get to 9K.
Yeah. Let's see if that changes something. Salute to Rayology in the building. I am Jarrell. Was good. Visions is here. Appreciate you. But as I'm thanking Alan Hahn once again for being here with us, we really appreciate it. We had a great time. It was a blast. I also want to give you guys just a little bit of forewarning. It is not, I know when it happens, it feels like it happened easily, but it is not easy to get a guest like Alan Hahn on the show. So when we do get special guests every week, don't expect us to one up Alan Hahn. Like it might happen, but it's not always going to happen. You know what? And the other side of it is one of the things that I mentioned before that John and I love to do because we think about, how we got started doing Still Knicks fans and the type of love and support we got from the Knicks community. We want to continue to give that back no matter what's going on. So listen, if Fat Joe says next week, hey, Ron, I want to be on the show, but I've got one of these new Knicks content creators that's, needs a shot, I'm going to have to tell Fat Joe, chill. I'll get you next week. You know what I mean?
Yesterday's price ain't today's price.
Yeah, that's what he's going to say to me, and I'm never going to hear from him again. But, that's not the point. The point is now we definitely want to show love to our fellow content creators and shine a spotlight on other shows just like people did for us. There's been so much love and help throughout this Knicks community for us. We want to obviously give that back. And today's guest is definitely deserving and very indicative of that. when you check out this guy's content, you're gonna see it's unique, but it's not even just how it's presented to you. It's good content. Like,
right.
And when you check it out, you know what I'm talking about. You'll see how he gives it up, and you'll enjoy it just as much as we do. So, right before I bring him up, I just want to give a quick shout out to the chat once again. Stafford Don, Keyshawn in the building. I see you guys. So, without further ado, let's get to our special guest for today's show. And this guy is, you're gonna know him as Riding with the Knicks. We know him now as Greg, but welcome Greg from Riding with the Knicks to the show.
All right,
let's go. I don't have any
sound
effects, but I was like, all this stuff, man.
Yeah, good to be here with you guys. And I'm not Alan Hahn. And if it was gonna be Fat Joe or me, you got to bump me to like next year. All right.
No, man, but definitely it's great to have you. And this is kind of just one of them other things behind the scenes. Like, we've been going back and forth for a while trying to just make it right and get the scheduling together to have him on the show. Same thing when you see somebody like Alan Hahn or whoever. Everything takes time. It takes a process and getting it to work out. But I'm glad we could finally get here and we got Greg on the show. John, let me start off and let John lead into it, because to be quite honest, like I got my nose to the streets for a little bit, but I don't know everything. And John has clued me into a couple things. One, he clued me into Blorange Tears when I didn't know about that, and then he clued me into Riding with the Knicks. So, John, why don't you start it off?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I remember seeing early on, Riding with the Knicks, just like a first couple of episodes when I think you just had started. Your intro was out of a paper with the sign, you know what I mean? Riding with the Knicks. I thought that was dope. So I thought it was super clever. And so as soon as you had me from the jump, right? So I was like, that was super clever. So I started listening to sort of your opening monologue as you were writing and just sort of explaining yourself around like how you wanted to start a channel because you was out in Ohio and you didn't have many people to talk to Knicks related. Yeah. And so you was like, I'm tired of nagging my wife and I got to find a way to get, my Knicks fandom out. And so please share with our viewers sort of what you shared in sort of your first episode or second episode of the sorts.
It seems like you're breaking up a little bit. It'll fix itself.
So
you guys,
yeah, we can hear you faintly. You were coming in and out. I think maybe it looks like it fixed itself. I think there you go.
You're on. You're locked.
All right. I should be good. My bad. All right. So I'm from Staten Island, New York. That's where I'm born and raised. And my wife's from Akron, Ohio. And so I moved out here in 2012. And really, that's the year I started to fall in love with the Knicks. I was raised as a soccer player by an English father. Like I didn't know basketball, but I fell in love with that team, that 2012, 2013 team. And I just started talking to the Knicks. I mean, trying to talk Knicks with anybody out here in Ohio. And I couldn't find a lot of fans. And so I always wanted to. I love the platform of YouTube. I love the Knicks. I was watching the team of the season, and my wife was tired of hearing me talk about the Knicks. And I used to make like a 7-minute drive to work and back, and then my office moved to a different city, and so I had a 40-minute drive to work and a 40-minute drive home. And I was like, I actually have some time here. I can just space out in the car, or I can put my time to work and basically say like, I can do something unique. I can make this name came to me, Riding with the Knicks, which is like, double entendre. I'm rocking with the Knicks, but I'm also physically driving, and I'm shooting these things hands-free. And I just figured, you know what? I'm not going to like ask all my friends to watch my show. I'm not going to like ask my brother to watch it 100 times or anything like that. I'm just going to see if this is viable. I'm going to put me out there into the ethos, like the ether of YouTube. No subscribers, no views, no nothing. Just start cutting videos and seeing hey, is what I have worthwhile or adding value to other people's lives? And so slowly but surely, people started watching, and you guys know it better than me. Like, you start to build a community where people are actually, adding value to you in the comment section and stuff like that. And so it was really birthed out of I got to tell somebody about the Knicks and my perspective on the season. Maybe I'll just tell YouTube and see if anybody's listening. And now I'm in this spot now where we're coming up. I'm almost coming up on a year. It was October, I think, at the end of October when I started, and we're close to 1,000 subs. So I'm trying to hit it before the season starts. And then we got some fun things in store for what's next.
Well, that's definitely hit it today. So all of y'all tuning in today, tune in, subscribe, go on his page, subscribe, hit that notification bell, do all of it so we can get him to 1,000 today. Let's try that. Let's go for it.
Yes, definitely do that. You guys, if you haven't and you are not familiar, if you check in the chat, I put the link in there so you can check them out. I'm going to pin it to make it a little easier and more accessible. So it's there. So that's Greg's channel, Riding with the Knicks. So check it out, man. It's really good content, man.
Right.
So my question is, wait a minute. So you moved to Ohio and your wife's from Ohio. We're talking a little LeBron action here.
I'm not friends with LeBron.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe there's, it could be, the house could be divided. Like, you could walk in a room and there's a Cleveland stuff in there. Like,
I'm of the attitude where, like, you root for where you're from. And so I'm not going to lie, like, it was exciting, obviously, those years in Cleveland. It was exciting for people to see, like, him win that one in Cleveland, but I'm from New York. I could live in Ohio for the next 3 decades, 4 decades. I was born in New York. That's my team. And I think one thing that Alan Hahn was saying is, like, it resonated with me. It probably resonated with you guys and everybody listening. Like, I want to be here when it goes off for the Knicks. Like, I don't want to run away and come back.
See, I think the internet is, like, it's acting up a little bit, but I'm hearing what you're saying, Greg. So if you guys missed it, Greg was saying that basically what Alan Hahn said is, like, you want to be here to witness what's going on, and if the Knicks are able to turn this around and get that winning mojo back and kind of set the world ablaze and set New York ablaze, you want to be here for that, and that's what I think he was alluding to and trying to get to.
Yep. And it's gonna be
100%.
It's gonna be great when we get an opportunity to witness that in person. You know what I mean? And I'm sure when that time comes, Greg, I'm sure you will be making a trip to New York to experience that ticket take parade when that time comes. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but when it comes, it's gonna be all hands on deck. Every Knicks fan from every state, known to man, even world, right? Because we got some folks from Brazil, we got some folks from Australia. We got plenty of folks all around the world that are Knicks fans for life, and I'm sure they'll be booking their first flight tickets to New York.
Oh yeah,
definitely. Shout out once again to the chat. Excuse me. Frank Matos, used to call him Sasso, is in the building. Infamous New King is here. Dwayne Dennis, as John was mentioning. Nick Fans Brazil is in the chat. Victor, what's going on, buddy? Deshaun Wilson is here. What's good, Deshaun? Good to see you. G-Man 78 is in the building. It's Me is here. Keith Turner is here. Geraldine McIver, the first lady of Still Nick Fans, in the building. And these last two gentlemen, I want to give them a shout out. And it's funny because they understand like nobody else. I like to throw this stuff out because I find it hilarious. Before we started this show, we chopped it up to talk a little bit. There was no audio, no issues with the internet whatsoever. As soon as you start the show, that's how it works. Worldwide L and Hard Will, you understand, man. This is how life is, brother, because they're also content creators. They have a really good show called For the Love of the Game. That's with the number 4, OUR, Love of the Game. So definitely check them out. I was watching their show a little earlier tonight. They were getting into a lot of the stuff that we are about to talk about as well. But it was a really good show. So shout out to you guys, man. It's just funny how it can be. You could do something. You could be on for an hour talking about stuff, have no issues. Once the show starts, there's something that happens. It's just how it is. That's life. You deal with it.
Yep.
So I think that's it's an interesting story. And when I found out, like, I honestly didn't know. I watched some of your shows, but I didn't see the first couple. So I didn't know, maybe I missed it, but I didn't know you were from Ohio. So when I found out, I was like, oh, wow, that makes sense. And then it was like, then you mentioned how, you have to take your drive to and from work was like 40 minutes. So why not talk it up and do some Knick talk? I was like, that's really cool. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. Pretty dope, man.
Yes.
Look at that, man.
So that's why I'm in the car That's why I'm in the car right now,
Yeah, no, and it's understandable, bro. It's understandable.
Gotta keep it consistent.
Gotta stay on brand, man.
Oh yeah.
So all right, let's just get into it.
Well, before we go to Spider, I do want to ask you a question around when did you begin? When did like what was you said 2012 season, right? What was your sort of epic season for you? Like, what was the season that took you over the top, where you was like, yo, like we may have something here, with this Knicks team?
Every season, I feel like we might have something. So like, I'm like, I love the guys we have always.
Yeah.
But you got to think, not this last year, but the year before that was a special year. But that 2012, 2013, I mean, like, that team was great. It was fun to watch, and so I guess it was that I was going down to a local bar here in Ohio, asking them to turn the Knicks on for me because I didn't have cable, and they would turn it on the smallest TV in the bar, and I would just sit there, the only guy watching that game, because I couldn't get enough. I mean, it's just like how it is, like the when the Garden's rocking, there's nothing like it. And so having a home team made me feel like I was still in New York.
That makes sense.
I got a lot of family out there. I don't have family. I got my wife's family out here, but like being a fan of the Knicks made me feel like a New Yorker still, even though I was in Ohio.
Nice. I'm sure there weren't that many people at work wanting to talk about the New York Knicks.
Nobody. No, nobody.
Well, that's dope, man. I'm glad you're holding it down for us out there, man, representing, because, that's what you got to do. That's why, like, guys like you, guys like Victor, man, he's got a tough task in Brazil. There's not a lot of Knicks fans out there. So
that's right.
Holding it down, man. We appreciate that.
He's making them. He's making them. Yeah, he's making them.
It's true. It's true. He's
creating
Knicks fans.
That's right. And Deuce McBride is from Cincinnati. So
right.
That's far from me. It's like 4 hours from me. But there's some other people in Ohio care about the Knicks too. Maybe just his family. So
right.
True,
close friends and family for sure.
Which is very, very, very good. That's a great point. Did you want to say something else, John, or should I?
Let's go. Let's go.
Sure?
Spider.
All right, here we go. So yes, guys. By now, if you don't already know, there has been a trade report out there that the Knicks did make I don't know when it happened, but a most recent offer to Utah, in which Utah turned it down because maybe it wasn't enough for their liking. Let's see what it says here. So this is per Bleacher Report, per Shams. So it's, you're getting information secondhand. And obviously I didn't go to Shams because I don't have a subscription to The Athletic and I wasn't going to pay for it. So anyway, per Bleacher Report, they said the Jazz want a significant upgrade from what the Knicks are currently offering for Donovan Mitchell. Per Shams Charania from The Athletic, the Knicks have offered Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, and 5 first-round picks for Mitchell. I believe within the 5 first-round picks, it's broken down. 2 are unprotected and 3 were protected. So that's Evan Fournier, Obi Toppin, 2 unprotected picks, and 3 protected first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell. And Utah was not happy with that offer, so they turned it down. But that still means that the dialogue is happening. The negotiation is still ongoing until it's not. But what do you guys think about that? I'll start with you, Greg. What do you think about the trade offer that the Knicks put out there? At least, if I'm not going to say it's a starting point because they've been negotiating for like a month or so, but reintroducing, you know, a position.
Yeah, I
Right
don't.
there.
Significant
Okay,
upgrade. Significant upgrade. Like, what do you want a significant upgrade from that? How much more are we going to give? I don't know about putting Obi Toppin in that. I'm not. I don't want to spend any more than that for real. I think it's a haul to bring him back ready. It's I'll be worried about spending more than that. Doesn't excite me.
It's understandable. That's fair.
A lot of folks feel that way.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Did your light go out?
My light? Did it go out?
Hey, there you go. A little brighter. Yeah. It had darkened a little bit.
Oh, maybe it's dying on here.
John, what's your opinion on that most recent offer from the New York Knicks?
I'm sort of like okay with moving on from some of our picks. You know, I understand they can't be in consecutive years, so we'll be fine there. The unprotected picks, I'm just glad that they're limiting it to 2, and the others will be protective pick, of course. Are, you know, sort of throwaways, in my opinion. We're gonna have plenty of that to go around. So for me, Obi Toppin, if the plan is to continue to move forward with Randle, I could understand the New York Knicks front office moving away from Obi, giving him an opportunity to sort of revamp his career in Utah, with the hopes of them, you know, of course, they're looking to shed all their veterans and sort of restart from scratch, and they're going young. So Obi will be the veteran in that squad if he was to go there. Moving away from you said it was Quick, right? Was it Quick or was it Grimes?
Moving away from Grimes is the one they don't want to put in the yeah.
Right. So it was Grimes in this particular case. So placing Obi and Grimes, I mean, I'm a fan of Grimes. I do understand that you need to give something in order to get something. And so I'm okay with that move. I really think that we need to start with the Knicks. I think it's time. I think we've played enough years without one. It's almost been a decade already since Melo. And I think it's time that we bring somebody of that, you know, that caliber back to New York. And at that point, we aren't losing that much if it was sort of this situation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking at the Knicks. I don't want to give up Barrett. You see, I'm wearing the Barrett Barrett t-shirt right now. I'm not inclined to move Barrett. I think he should be a part of our future. Just because he brings the right temperament. He is our top, you know, our number 1 draft pick. You would say he was picked 3rd. So I'm not ready to give up on Barrett just about yet. And I think Grimes is a comparable player right now. So I think if they're willing to take on a Grimes and an Obi and Fournier, I'm cool with it. And I'm even okay if they added Quick to that mix, to be honest, because I would like for us to break up the logjam there is in the shooting guard position. Shooting guard and small forwards, there's a logjam. So in order to clear up that logjam, we have to get rid of a few of our players. So I'm willing to do that.
It's true that you do speak the cold hard facts that
he does.
We got too many players at certain positions, and we've already done it, so I don't need to do it again. But guys, when you go down the list of starters, 5 starters, then if you want to include 5 bench players and then an 11th guy, you realize a lot of guys need to get minutes, and they're not all going to get minutes, especially in a Tom Thibodeau rotation. So we still are at that point where they're going to have to do something. Even if the Donovan Mitchell move doesn't happen, I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks do make another effort at making a move prior to the trade deadline in February or whatever it is, because there's just too many people that need to play. And then even the players I mentioned, I went like 11 or 12 deep, and I didn't even get to Jericho Sims. Wow. I don't know. It's tough. It's crazy.
My biggest reason for moving from Quick, and I know people hate me saying quick and putting them in there. But my biggest reason is because we got Jalen Brunson, right? And so if Quickly isn't going to be our point guard of the future, then what will be his role? A 6-man off the bench? Like, that opportunity I want to lend to Cam if he's still here, to be honest. And then any other players that we bring in the future. We need to make space for youth to come in. And I understand we're giving up a couple of draft picks, but they're not every draft pick. So we need to make room for young players to come in and show that they have the ability to, be a part of this club. And so if, I like the idea of keeping Rose because he's sort of a vet. He is a vet. And he's good to have in your locker room and as a second option coming off the bench, someone who could still push the pace. He is a Tibbs guy. He understands the offense and the defensive schemes. It's going to just be fine. I mean, it's all about health for him at that point.
Right. That's the unemotional truth right there. This man's speaking the unemotional facts. Dang. I just fall in love with these guys. Fall in love with Quick. Fall in love with Obi. But, hey, you're speaking the truth, man.
Yeah.
That's the biggest issue that I'm finding, that I think as a fan of this team, I love this team. I know we're not the greatest team, and there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be worked on. Some of these young players still need to get a lot better. And I don't mean a little better, a lot better. So, and you want to see that happen. But once again, the bottom line is not all these guys are going to be able to play. So how does it happen for some of these dudes? Certain guys might be able to get some time. Like, according to Berman, Thibodeau really wants to get Obi a lot of minutes if he's here.
Right.
So that's a good sign if he's here. But then if he's traded, I guess those minutes, who will those minutes go to then? I mean, Donovan will soak up a lot of minutes if he's here. And I don't know who else from the youth would get those minutes, but it definitely would be a problem. It would be very hard to bring in Donovan Mitchell, have Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett, and somehow get a good amount of minutes for Emmanuel Quickly. I don't know. It'll be very tough. So, and that's a little bit of a concern. Now, to your point, John, you mentioned the whole thing about point guard. Well, honestly, it's kind of going back to what I looked at Quickly before. He's a combo guard, but I always felt like he should be a shooting guard. I said before, and that was a little premature. It's not fair to him, because if this is what he wants to do and wants to learn, he should be afforded every opportunity. But I thought they should strip the point guard duties away from Quickly, and he should just work on becoming one of the best shooting guards on the team that we can have, because he's got that skill set. He can do it all from that standpoint. Great free throw shooter. He could become a really good 3-point shooter if he works on his efficiency. And he's got the floater game. So he's got a lot of things. I thought he could fill that Tyrese Maxey role perfectly, right? Because Tyrese Maxey is doing it for Philadelphia. And technically he's the point guard over there, but Harden has just taken over that. So, it's the same kind of thing. But we'll see what they decide to do. I just think it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be tough to see how it all plays out. I don't know, man. I'm like on the fence. But it brings me to another question. Before I do that, I wanted to give another shout out to a couple people in the chat. Krillian's Underlow, Alton Lee's in the building. Killer Cams is here. Sharice Duncan and D Nice is in the building. Thank you guys for tuning in. But I also wanted to shout out my guy, Victor from Knicks Fans Brazil. He said Jake Fisher. They make let me clean it up for us. He has an interview with Jake Fisher, and they're talking about Spider. So one, that's a great job, great get for you once again. Victor, you get everybody, man. I'm pretty soon you're gonna start getting Knick players. You have. You're gonna start getting current Knick players. I wouldn't be surprised, bro. You getting everybody. Yeah. So good job by you once again, bro. So here's the question. We know that offer is not something that Utah likes. Danny Ainge he's not rocking with that.
Right.
What do you think? Okay, from a point now, we can talk about the adverse point of this in a minute, but just say we're still going after Donovan. You offered Obi, you offered Fournier, you offered 2 unprotected and 3 protected. How could you level up this offer to make it happen? I'll start with Greg, because John's looking at me like I need another second.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, like, they said they want significant increase on that deal. What does significant mean? It better not mean Barrett. They don't want Barrett, right?
No, they don't. See, here's the thing. This is where the paradigm, I got that from
Right.
John. This is where the paradigm has shifted. They didn't want RJ Barrett before. They didn't want Cam Reddish before. Now, all of a sudden, they want, and I'd much rather part with Cam than RJ, just throwing that out there. But they don't want
100%.
Cam at the moment. They want RJ now because in an effort to flip him. Because now they're like, we don't want him for our team, but we'll send him off somewhere else and get some more value. So this is a bad thing right now that it's shifted because now they see the value in moving him. I don't like that. But say it's not RJ. Say they just want a different level of picks. Well, would you do that? Because I think we offered 2 unprotected. Would you make more? Would you give them more unprotected or add another player or 2?
I think that so I did a video a couple weeks ago. It ended up being the best video on my channel, and it was basically I said the Knicks have already won the Donovan Mitchell trade. Now that made a lot of people like freak out. I had some Utah Jazz fans in the comments, like. But basically, what I was saying was like the fact that we haven't been reactive and just like take the deal the first week is a huge win for our organization. We've got a front office now that's taking time. And so at the end of the video, I basically said, like, if it ends up being a ton of picks, like a huge haul, like 6 or even 7 picks, I can, not that I want that to happen, but I can stomach it more now, knowing that we worked to find out what that price actually was. And so we've made a lot of draft picks. I'm not hating on any of them. I don't know these guys personally. I wish them well, but we made a lot of draft picks who are not with us anymore. And so sometimes we overvalue these picks. And if we got to move 6 of them, or God forbid, even 7, and we get a guy like Spider in return, at this point, now that we've waited all these weeks or months, like, I think I can move on happily with that because we got a great 25-year-old young all-star that could turn into a superstar in New York City.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, that is the truth. I mean, I would hope not to drop 6 to 7. Again, we have to be able to see what other teams are offering, right? And unless Utah is willing to say, hey, we got multiple offers that will match sort of the amount of picks that you're putting in front of us, that is the only way I'm upping my price, right? Because we have enough to match whatever's out there, even if you were to include a third team. And so for me, my concern is that we don't rush to the table just because of media hype. We make sure that we look at what are the other offers that are coming your way, right? Because every offer has to be presented by the NBA, right? It's not like they could keep that to themselves. So it's got to be transparent. And once you know that other teams are in the bidding, then at that point, you then offer 1 or 2 more picks, or maybe a player, like I said, potentially like a Quick, if that's someone who they're interested in taking, or a Cam. My biggest reason for moving away from Quick would be for the sake of having flexibility in height, right, and length. Because keeping Quick on our roster, we become an extra small team when we have Spider on this team, right? And so you need length to sort of coincide with that 2 front. You got your starters really, 6'1", and a half, you know what I mean? And so you have a duel there who are sort of, not lengthy, strong players, physical, but they aren't lengthy. And if you're able to switch that when you come with your second unit, that gives you an opportunity to be more flexible when it comes to switching guys in and out. With Quick, you still fall in line. Quick is 6'3". He is, fairly thin. He's about 190. He may be bulked up a few more pounds, but he's not the strongest of point guards, or guards, I should say. So that is one of my reasons for moving on from Quick, because he plays the combo guard, sort of mix in between. I would like to go with a little bit more lengthy depth, but I'm cool either way. But let's see what other offers are out there before Leon and those guys decide to take a jump at more picks or an additional player.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Greg. What were you gonna say?
What do you guys make of like the intangibles that a player has? Like, do you put a lot of stock in that? Like, I know that like you got to have the skill and the talent is obviously far and away the most important part, but like a guy like Quick, I feel like brings other things to a team and to a locker room maybe that you lose more than just the, you know, skinny, streaky 6'3" guy. Like you lose more sometimes with someone like that. But also you're gonna, like, are we gonna lose Quick and Grimes? Like Grimes is this young 3-and-D guy who's like wet from three. Like everybody wants him on the roster. So I don't know, it just puts you in mind, but I guess like it's not easy.
Well, to your point where you were saying as far as intangibles and how do we view them? I mean, I think that it's very important to look at everything a player can offer, and there's certain things you can't get from everybody, which is the reason why we, even at his advanced age with all his injuries, there's so many Knicks fans that still want Derrick Rose in this team because of what he did for the team, how much of a leader he was because you know this Knicks team has been searching for leadership for quite some time. We haven't really had a true leader. Julius Randle was the de facto, like he was the guy who got the money, and he was our best player. He became the leader, but that doesn't necessarily mean he should have been the leader. And then a guy like Derrick Rose, who I would say has struggled to be vocal. Like his play exemplifies a leader, but he's not vocal enough to really take the reins of being that. So what we got from him, just, you know, it was so valuable to us. He was a big reason why we made the 4th seed and got into the playoffs. And people look at that. I think most Knicks fans kind of know that Derrick Rose is a pretty big question mark for the team going forward. You don't know if he's going to be healthy. And really, when you think about it, Derrick Rose is eating into minutes that Emmanuel quickly could be getting.
Right.
Just what it is. So, yeah, but I think the intangibles do make a good case for what you can expect from a player and how you value them. But the flip side of that too is you start to look at the intangibles of a guy like Donovan Mitchell, because as much as we love IQ, it starts like you start playing people against each other. Would I rather have Donovan Mitchell or IQ? Would I rather have Donovan Mitchell or RJ Barrett? That's when it gets a little funky. I ain't gonna lie to you there. But if you're just looking at what the person can bring to your team right now, you want Donovan Mitchell. Now, 2 years from now, you may want RJ Barrett because he can give you a game that's similar to Donovan. Not quite there, because I don't think he'll ever be Donovan for other reasons. But he could be similar, and he'd give you enough value that you say, now, we're glad we kept him. We can build with him. But like even to Sherwin's point, which I put up here, he said, name one 6'2" shooting guard that had a career that lasted into their 30s. Not even AI, not even Allen Iverson. And I understand that.
We have to go back all the way to like Nate Archibald and Isaiah Thomas, right? Those guys.
Right. You'd have to go far back. And then the other thing is, you know, we're dealing with a lot of unknowns here. He's a special player, but he also has a unique height because he's smaller than a lot of the other players in the NBA, especially at his position. But he's also built. Like Donovan Mitchell is no skinny dude. He's got a big frame on him.
And so when it comes
type. To being in the league and having stability and not breaking down, if there was a candidate for it, I'd say it's him.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, that's it. What you're saying, Sherwin, it makes a lot of sense. But Donovan could be the exception to the rule. We don't know.
He could be the first.
He could be the first.
Yeah.
And then this is why we're in such a tough spot, man, guys. We don't know what to expect or what, you know, you make a move, it could be the right move, but you never know. If you say RJ had to go in the move, you get rid of RJ. RJ could become a perennial all-star, not a superstar, but a perennial all-star, very solid player for years to come. And Donovan could be, you know, just as good as he is, but we just never get over the hump. We never get to that next level. And then it's always the what ifs. So you know what I mean? It's tough.
And today's NBA is different too, man. It's a fast-paced game. Most of the players are not as tall in every position as they used to be back in the day. Like back in the day, you would needed to be a 6'6" shooting guard, right? Everyone was following the MJ role, right? Everyone wanted to be 6'4", 6'6". If you were 6'4", they used to call you a tweener back in the day, right? And now that's normal, right? You're playing a guard position, whether you consider them to be a point guard or a shooting guard. It all depends on where you are in the court and whether or not the option's coming from you. Are you running the offense or are you playing off the offense, right? So that's all it really depends on. And with guys like Donovan Mitchell, he's going to have the ball in his hands for a majority of that time, right? So he's sort of playing that role coming into the Knicks. He's gonna be the guy who's going to play through the offense and is going to have the option of running the offense as well as Jalen Brunson. So the idea that you're predicated to just being a shooting guard or a point guard with those two guys on the team, they're sort of versatile. You can mix and match how you want to, depending on the situation and the matchups.
That is true. Would you guys be comfortable with, so if they offered 2 unprotected picks, and you know, unprotected is what people consider gold.
Right.
What if they upped it to 3 unprotected picks, right? See, my whole thing is I don't care about giving up 3 unprotected. 4 is pushing it. I think 4 is getting a little in the fleece realm of things, which is what Danny Ainge is looking for, apparently.
Right.
If I would be comfortable giving up the 3 and it stops there. I'll give you 3 unprotected picks. Maybe I'll give you 3 more first-round picks that are protected, and I'll throw in a second-round pick. I've got 11 of them. I'll throw in a second-round pick for good measure. You know what I mean? In a draft year that there's value with it, which may be next year, because I think we've got 2 or 3 of them for next year. So that's something I would do. And with regards to Fournier, I think what people are missing is, like, we know that Fournier is not the juicy piece to bring in a Donovan Mitchell, but Fournier, I don't think, unless I'm mistaken, and I've looked at all the variables, and I know John and I had a show when we went through stuff, there's really no scenario where Fournier can't go, like, because you need somebody for the money, for the contract, and Fournier is like, he's a main guy in that mix. Unless you're trading Julius, and you know Utah doesn't want Julius.
That's what I was about to say. No,
right.
That he doesn't fit the need for Utah, where Fournier, he's on his last year, so they could just dump him, after. So this is a salary dump for them. Julius has a few more years left on his contract.
Yep.
So if we were to keep Obi though, and move Randle to a different team, so now you're asking for 3 teams, a 3-team deal, that could potentially work.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Greg?
I think that Fournier, especially this last year, we had a whole bunch of frustrated Knicks fans. I was one of them. Like, Fournier was easy to hate on, but like from 3, so some team would want to keep him.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're saying that he's a solid 3-point shooter, of course.
Yeah. So someone's gonna want him. Yeah, if they get rid of him.
Yeah, and again, like, Utah could hold him for the year, and then move off the contract. They don't have to re-sign him. So, that's the biggest takeaway for Fournier. Or they can move him for another team that's looking for shooters. Like a Laker team. A Laker team's looking for shooters. So if they wanted a veteran who can shoot the ball really well, they can trade him off for a couple of more picks.
Yeah. Quiet Money, salute to you, brother. Always good to see you. Billy Goats in the chat. I see you. Salute. He brought up an interesting point. He said it's going to end up either being Quickly and Obi along with picks, or RJ in the picks. What would you do? Well, I mean, quite frankly, if I'm being honest, I love RJ. It is what it is. But if I'm really thinking about these 2 options, I go Quickly and Obi, because it goes back to the same thing. What are we trying to do? We're trying to bring in Donovan Mitchell. We bring in Donovan Mitchell here with Jalen. and we have Rose. Where is IQ getting the minutes from? How's he going to be? You know what I mean? Like, I'm only thinking about how does it all work after it's all done. Now, the one thing that might be interesting, but the Knicks will never do it, and you could really kind of line things up better because now you have a different look. If the Knicks were to trade Julius Randle now, before a Donovan Mitchell trade,
right?
You know, you could kind of like you could tweak stuff around and see how the rest of your roster is going to kind of fill out, and then maybe even you get a piece that can be moved to, or some picks with a piece. You can get one piece that can kind of help the Knick team. Maybe it's a better defender, right? You say, okay, we're going to let Obi now becomes a Knick for a long time. We're not sending him anymore. We're going to get 2 more first-round picks or something, or like a first-round pick and some other pick, and then some other player we could send to Utah. And then, you know, we'll keep something, whatever it is. It's meaningless because we just want to move Randle's contract and move him out of here to get something else to entice Utah because we want Donovan. If they did something like that, forget it. I'm not even going to bring it up because, you know, it's another hypothetical that's not going to happen. They're not going to do this. It's Donovan first, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And we don't even know if that report is true to say that if Donovan lands in New York that they're shopping Randle. We don't know that to be true. I mean, it makes sense because he's a ball dominant player and you're going to bring in another ball dominant player, right? And so there isn't enough basketballs to go around, and that means Randle will have to take a back seat, right? Now, is he willing to do that? We don't know. We're just fans, right? We're not in the inner circle. So it's just about depending on the conversations that Tibbs and the front office is having with their players on what they plan for this upcoming season and whether or not the players buy into it, right? For me, I'm gonna stick with talent because talent's gonna get you over the hump. It's one thing with you have to build good camaraderie, and you have to have guys who buy in and sort of say the right things in the media. And that's something that Randle struggles with. But you always have to see an evolution of a player, right? Not every player is willing to be the front guy, right? And now taking a back seat to a guy like Spider and Jalen Brunson, who are really strong PR people, right? They come from New York. They've been around the game for a long time. You know, they grew up in it, you know? So they could take all the hype away, all the struggling, you know, the conversations with the media. They could be the front folks and then allow Randle to sort of hide behind the scenes as long as he doesn't do any bonehead things regarding, you know, the media or you know, thumbs down to the fans, you know, like he can't do that. Again, he's somebody who you're gonna it looks like the Knicks franchise and front office are banking that he's gonna have a comeback season. Just because he's been a 20-10 guy most of his career.
No, I agree. I think that's definitely what the Knicks are banking on, and they definitely want to. I mean, because they value. Listen, I mean, a lot of fans have moved on mentally with regards to Julius, but the Knicks still value what happened in that most improved season. I mean, it's still a playoff berth, and they were the 4th seed. So they're giving Randle another shot to kind of, you know, get everything back to where it was, until if a Donovan trade were to happen, because then I guess we don't know if that fit is going to work out. They might move on from him at that point, but we don't know. It's all a guessing game. It's all up in the air. But so let's move off from that. Here's the other scenario. And this is the thing that you wonder about Leon. And I don't think we're there yet, but it could happen at any moment. We're not far from it. What becomes Leon's breaking point? When does Leon say, you know what? That's my final offer. Nope, we're moving on. And should he feel that way now? What do you guys think? John, do you think that they should continue to pursue the Donovan Mitchell trade, knowing that Ainge definitely is not backing off of his position, and it's going to be a fight until a certain point? Or do you think we should move on? Like, should we just back off?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you got to wait and see what other offers are made, And if there are no more offers, then you stick to your guns and say, this is what we're willing to offer. Maybe throw in a pick or two if it's needed to make it, make the trade happen. For me, I would rather move a player than the picks, right? Just because there is a logjam. Again, Tibbs is going to play certain guys 40 minutes a game, right? That's been his MO his entire career. Right. He plays guys 38 minutes or more. If he trusts you, you're staying in the game. And there's only going to be 8 to 9 players that are going to play. So you got to make room for guys to be able to, grow within this organization. And if you're a kid like IQ is just going to fall in the cracks. He's not going to get playing minutes unless someone gets injured or hurt. And yet you can probably say that it's going to be Rose, right? There is history of that. But again, you're going to wait till that time happens in order to get him into the groove of things. I just don't know. It could be Cam. Cam will fall to the wayside, right? You could probably play the same, second team as they did the year before. It all depends, man. Like I just say, stay true to what their beliefs are. See what happens, and then work it from there. If there's no trade to be had, so be it. Make another trade with a different team. See if you can still move Fournier and another player for some picks. I'm cool with that too. We ain't got to go for Donovan.
That makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense. What you think, Greg?
I think, your question was about Leon Rose too, right? So it's like, what is his job?
Like understanding, at what point does he say it's enough is enough? I got to move on. And then also from our standpoint, maybe it's at some point you just say that's it, or should we just give up now and say, you know what, this is going to be a battle on. It's going to take a lot of time. And the other thing is, I'm sorry, I just want to add this caveat to it. Whenever there's a trade looming over a basketball team or any professional sports team, you're about to go into training camp soon. The schedule's out. Guys are working on their game. But now that whole trade thing is looming over their heads. That's another thing that's never really a great thing. So go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point too. I would say from two sides. Leon Rose's job, like how much job security does he have? I don't know that, I guess. I don't know what you guys know. Like how much pressure is on him to get a deal like this done, to get a star like Spider in New York? Like the roster. Alan Hahn said it, like I'll just keep quoting Alan Hahn, but like I think he said like the job of like his job is to get better talent on the team. Leon Rose's job is to get better talent. Now he's already done that. Like he got Brunson on the team, and people want to talk about how the Knicks went out and hired his dad and all this kind of stuff. And did we tamper? I don't care at all. We got a better player on our team. We pursued a free agent. We got him on our team. I'm with it. But like, how much pressure is on Rose to get this deal done? I don't know that. And so maybe he does. Maybe he's trying to get the best deal he can. But ultimately, he knows on opening night he better have Donovan Mitchell in a Knicks jersey. And if that's the case, hey, I hope it gets done before, it starts to become that thing that's looming over our head. I'm with you on that. But that's part of the X factor for me. I don't know what pressure is on him to get this deal done. Maybe none, but maybe a lot.
Maybe after that schedule, a lot, because that schedule is woo.
That schedule is rough, man. That schedule is rough. And that's a good point. Like what pressure is on him to get the deal done? Because, as we've seen, shout out to him. I like to shout him out when he's not talking, not doing nothing and staying away. When James Dolan is out the mix, it's great. But behind closed doors, maybe James Dolan's like, listen, do your thing, man. I like what you guys are doing. I like how you came off that money and got rid of Burks and Noel. Yeah, but Donovan Mitchell, I expect to see him.
Right.
I'll see you later.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Not to mention he's been seen having dinner with Melo, right? So
right.
That's another one.
But we can't sneeze at the Brunson deal. Like that's good work.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
So the team's improved already, and if this is the team we go into the season with, like I'm pumped.
Yeah, I think we're right there with you. I think we just lost you just a bit. When you come back, we'll go right back to you.
Yeah. I'm sure you're just repositioning, just as the Knicks are repositioning their next trade offer.
Yeah. So you were saying you're pumped. You're back.
I said I'm just pumped. I'm pumped for opening night. We already got a better squad, and I'd like to see a deal done. But hey, we're already better than we ended the season last season. So
yeah, I agree with that. I'm excited too. I'm always going to be excited. I mean, I was excited when Knicks had Clee Anthony early, and I'm excited. I'm a Knicks fan. You know?
yeah. That's what I was trying to say earlier.
So,
like I've been like right when I became a fan, it was like some really dark years. Like got to get excited about Porzingis, got to get excited about Ntilikina and Knox, and I was happy for all those guys. But I think we got something good right now. So
yeah,
I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, as Knicks fans, we overvaluate our players too, and that's something that we have to really understand. Just how we see our players, other teams and other front offices and scouts don't. For whatever reason. But we get to see our players day in and day out. And that's the difference, right? We get to, you see their pitfalls, you see their struggles, and then you see their successes, and you want to lean on those successes a little bit more to be more optimistic about your chances of winning. And so for me, it's just about what is the product that we're putting out every day? Are these guys really, meshing together? Are the kids that have the opportunity to play? Are they learning through their experiences? Are they building themselves? Are they getting better? Have they gotten a better understanding of how to play the game within the system that Tibbs wants to run? Because if that's not the case, and he sees them day in and day out in practice, then we have to make those moves and make those adjustments in order to be a playoff contending team year in and year out. It's just what it's got to be.
That's right.
I agree with that. And I wanted to make another point, but before I did, two things. Shout out to the chat once again. Shout out to Brahim in the building. Zigzag Zagala in here. Boulevard 73. Canal Band Lauya is in the building. Greg, which always trips me out how it's spelled, but it's Greg. Good to see you. Parish Dugga is in the building. What's going on? And to Quiet Money, what he said is, trading Julius is not an option because of his play, and the fans didn't help matters either. And fans had a little something to do with it, but Julius wasn't innocent there, but I understand where you're going. And he said, seeing Julius involved with the recruiting of Brunson speaks volumes. That is a really good point. That is very true. Julius is a Texas born and raised, and, he did have a connection to Brunson. And so, I mean, that's a good point. And it shows you once again, the value of him to this organization, which lets you know they're rocking with Julius still. So just, that's a good point to keep in mind. What I was going to say, one of the other things I wanted to touch on, which I don't know if I've touched on it as much on the show at all. I talk about it all the time privately, but, bad news. Yankees beat the Mets 4-2. Okay. Anyway, you know what? Let's cancel this show. I'm done. I'm out of here. I can't deal with. Look at. I'm not messing with this guy. He's gonna be killing me forever. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And aren't you're going to the game tomorrow, aren't you, John?
I sure am. You caught that?
Yeah.
Let's go,
good,
Craig.
because you'll be there in person to catch that L. I like it.
Oh, listen, I'm gonna be hitting you on a text on a regular. I might video chat when we go deep on y'all.
Oh man. Oh, jeez. Okay. Anyway, so just a couple more things before we get out of here. One of my biggest points for this Donovan Mitchell thing, because when the Donovan Mitchell trade first, when the notion or the idea first came up, I wasn't sold on it. I was like, okay, I mean, I could see us getting Donovan, but I just didn't feel like we were ready for that move. But as time went by, I was like, he's a really good player. So, and then I started thinking about maybe being in New York will elevate his game. He loves New York. He's a big Met fan. He's one of those people who enjoys the city. So I'm like, that might be a plus for him being in this environment to play, because he's already here. I mean, he hasn't left. He's been here all summer, right? So that's one.
Right.
Then I'm thinking, man, once Donovan gets hot and has those runs that he has at the Garden, is going to be crazy. The fans are going to go nuts. He is going to feel like he never felt before, because it's cool in Utah. They get loud, but it ain't going to be like being in the Garden doing that type of stuff. So I was like, that's another thing. Then I started to think about one of the big points that, I go back and forth with D is balling, you know, D's World of Hoops, as well as I go back and forth with my guy Prophet about the Knicks development staff. They've been complaining that the Knicks don't develop players the right way for years. And some of the young players that have developed are just that good that, you know, it's not necessarily on the development staff. These guys were going to develop at their own pace anyway, because they're like RJ Barrett's a number 3 pick, or like somebody else like Emmanuel Quickly, just really, he has that thing. He's a bulldog. So it doesn't matter what you tell him, he's still going to get better because he's going to do what it takes. So some of those guys develop in spite of having a poor development infrastructure, if you for lack of better terms.
Right.
So I'm thinking, if we're talking about keeping our youth and building through the draft, yet we haven't shown that we can really develop talent. Like Mitchell Robinson, for as good as he is, he doesn't have an offensive game. He's been with us 4 years. Like, you look at certain things like that, and I'm saying, well, how are we actually going to build and win and get our players good enough to the point? Because there's only 2 ways to do this. You build through the draft, you get your homegrown players up to the point where they're good enough that they carry your team, and you only need 1 or 2 pieces to fill out the roster to take you over the hump.
Right.
That's one way you do it. But we don't have the development staff, so how can we get our guys to that point? And we can't get playing time for them. So the other way is to go out and get free agents, high-priced free agents, or make trades, blockbuster trades for these guys. So that's kind of why I'm like leaning towards the Donovan Mitchell thing having to get done, because if we're not developing our young talent, they're not even able to play. What are we doing here? How do we get to the next level? And I'm not saying it has to happen this year. I'm with the process. It takes 2-3 years to get to that point, but you got to start somewhere. And maybe Donovan is the first. Well, Jalen was the first. Maybe Donovan is the second piece. What do you guys think about that? I know I hit you with it was whammy. I was talking a lot. Greg, what do you think?
No, I mean, I think you make a good point. Like what is the reality on opening night? Like, if we have Brunson and Spider and Randle and Mitchell and RJ Barrett, like, if everybody else is gone, are we good with that? That's kind of what you're saying, or no? Or even RJ Barrett?
No, you're saying no. You're saying with Donovan, right? And
with Donovan, yeah.
No. Yeah, if that's another factor. I'm just saying, if we don't trade for Donovan and we have these same players that we have here, if they're not being developed properly, and then if they're not even getting the playing time they need to develop, then how are we actually evolving as a team? How are we getting better? How are they getting better and putting us into the position where maybe 2 years from now, we're only 1 or 2 pieces away? How can we ever get there if we're not doing things the right way with the young talent?
Yeah, I hear you. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I kind of jumped over. You're right. We're not doing that. Yeah. So the reality is then we got a squad starting 5, and you know, Donovan Mitchell's lighting it up in the Garden, and we kind of forget about all the pieces we traded. You know, like,
yeah. And to be honest, like, you're not going to trade all the pieces, right? You're not trading all the pieces. Like, regardless, you're not putting 5 players, an additional 5 players in that mix, right? Not if you get rid of all these picks, right? So it's what you value more? Do you value the player on your roster, the players on your roster, or the picks? And if you value the player over the picks, then give away the picks. If you value the picks over the player, then you give away the player. At the end of the day, there are going to be guys in the free agent market who are comparable NBA players, guys who could come off the bench and play for a New York Knicks team if we get rid of Obi, Quickly, and Grimes, right? Fournier is a throw-in. So those are 4 players right there that I just named that we can be okay without. You know, or you can keep Quickly and get rid of Cam. However you want to pull it, you know what I mean? And then you go out and you get yourself a Melo to end his career with the Knicks. And then you pick up two more players, you know, maybe like the Martin brothers, you know, who are still out there in free agency. Like, you can find guys. You know, Miami does it all the time. Yeah. So you have to be able to see and lean on your scouts to find those players for you to fill out your roster. But there ain't that many teams who are going in the season with a starting 5 of what you just stated, of Jalen Brunson, a Spider, an RJ, a Randle, and a Mitchell. Not to mention Hartenstein and D Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And whichever the two players you want to pick from, whether it be Cam or IQ, it's a toss-up.
We
That's
solved
true.
all the world's problems. We solved all
That's
the
right.
problems. Yeah, we did it.
I mean, and a good point. Good point by Alton Lee. No championship roster is full of kids on the bench.
That's a fact.
Very true.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, look, Don, don't get me wrong. The best example of a young team that I saw that I don't know what they were thinking over there. Like, I mean, I would have figured out a way to at least get another year or two out of these guys, or at least maybe a year. I don't know, whatever. So I would have signed guys to 1-year deals just to keep them happy and try to make another run at it. Was OKC. Right. And I'm talking OKC when they had Westbrook, Harden, Durant. Like, come on, man. You don't just throw that. They threw that away quick.
Right. But there was some disgruntled stuff happening.
There was.
That's part of it, right? It's like, if you can you keep all these young, talented players happy with playing time, happy with their with the amount of money they're making, and you know what I mean? And in a place of OKC where there isn't that much, to do out there outside, there's no nightlife for a young 24-year-old, 23-year-old, you know what I mean? So like you got to be able to entice these kids somehow, some way. And that's the biggest thing for me, is like, you bring Spider, he knows what it is to be a New Yorker. You know what I mean? He knows what it is to stay away from the troubles in New York. You know what I mean? Same with Jalen Brunson. So you're not going to have that. And Randle is not about that life. Randle's about the home. He sticks. He's a tight-knit family. You know what I mean? He sticks to what he knows, and that's important. The only oddball out is like Mitchell Robinson.
Right.
He's the only one.
Yeah. But you know what? In fairness, even with Mitchell Robinson, he's been pretty good. Considering he's playing for New York for 4 years, we haven't heard of Mitchell Robinson getting into any trouble. He's not going out in the clubs, getting into fights or doing stuff, being caught somewhere with something he shouldn't be caught with. Like, he's been pretty, like, so, and that is another point that you're bringing up, John, that I think we have to look at. I know in New York, we play by a different set of rules, but look at what we have to deal with as the Knicks team, not the other teams that are in New York. The Knicks are different. For whatever reason, the Knicks have a hard time getting talent over here. People are scared to come here. Maybe it's ownership, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Ownership is still here. We got to deal with it. But why not go get a guy that can handle himself? Donovan Mitchell can handle himself as a person in Utah. But Donovan Mitchell, he's been here all summer. He's always in New York. He knows what it's about. Look at this guy. Yeah. He's killing me right now. He is killing me right now. It's okay. Yeah, yuck it up, bro. You and your Yankees. Go ahead. Yuck it up. So Donovan is another guy. Like, if it was up to me, to be honest, if it was a way for me to keep Obi and keep Quickly and keep RJ Barrett and Donovan, that's my core. That's what I would go with. Like, if Julius is here, fine. I don't know how he'd be here with those guys, but if he is, okay. But those guys, RJ Barrett wanted to be a Knick. RJ Barrett handles himself well.
Does.
Obi Toppin wanted to be a Knick. He handles himself well throughout everything, throughout Tibbs benching him, yelling at him in front of everybody. He's handled it pretty well. He's made a face or two, but that was it. And if you talk to him after the game, he has nothing but good things to say about the whole process, right?
Right.
Quickly, another bulldog. You don't got to worry about him. And then Donovan has been putting up with all types of mess in Utah with him and Gobert, and he doesn't say anything about it. He just takes it in stride. So, these are guys that could be in New York and flourish. And I think that's how the Knicks have to look at it. You got to not only worry about getting the talent in here, but you got to get guys who can make it here. Like, even if they're not ideal, like if they're not the best possible person, like the with all the superstar talent, but if they're good enough that they could play decent basketball here and we can win, they can buy in and they can carry themselves, then we got to rock with that, man.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm saying, damn, John, you put me in another position. Now I'm like, we got to get Donovan.
We got to get Donovan. I mean, at the end of the day, his box office. He's going to sell out for business reasons alone. It's an automatic, right? Like, you have to go chase the guy who's going to sell more jerseys, right? Who's going to sell more jerseys once he comes here? It's going to be Spider. You know how much merchandise is going to be out there for him? and then what he's gonna do in the offseason when he's here, because all the things he wanted to do in the offseason in Utah, he couldn't do. Over here, he's gonna have the leverage. He's gonna have everything. He's gonna be able to do so much more with the kids and the youth here in New York City. It just makes all the difference.
Yeah, we gotta get John on the phone with Danny Ainge. We gotta get John on the phone with Danny.
Listen,
get it done, baby. You gotta get it
I'll
done.
play. Listen, don't get me there. I'll place him in the front of a corner. He ain't getting out until this final.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, well, this has been another great show. I want to kind of wrap it up, not go too long. But I want to thank you, Greg, for being here. Riding with Knicks in the building. Guys, if you haven't already checked out his programming, and I guarantee you, his internet, when he's on the move, is a lot better than what's happening right now. I don't know what's going on, man. He's driving through areas, and I feel like his stuff is good. I'm like, now he's stationary, and it's going up and down. So it's definitely great content. He's a good guy with a good personality. And listen, he's representing for the Knicks in Ohio, man.
Right.
If you're not going to show him love, who you going to show love to? You know what I mean?
That's a fact.
So definitely check him out. I think the link to the show is pinned. So click on that, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. You see he's getting closer to 1,000. Get them likes up.
Get them to the 1,000. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Greg, once again, thank you for being here, brother. Any final words or anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, for sure. Just thank you guys so much for giving me a chance to talk and be on the show with you guys. You've been super supportive, not just in front of everybody like this in the camera, but in the chat and in the direct messages and stuff. Super supportive. So you guys are really about it, and I appreciate that. For anybody interested in my channel, like I talk about how is the game impacting our lives outside of the game, and so. Yeah, I would love to see you over there. If you show up on my channel, drop a comment saying that you saw us through this live stream, and yeah, I'll tell you what's up. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity.
Appreciate you.
Man, that's dope. Thank you for doing that as well, man. Appreciate you. Once again, guys, listen. We just try to continue to bring you guys good content and good guests, and I think we've done a great job because. For whatever reason, all these people are fantastic people, man. Whether you get the big wigs in Alan Hahn, or we get Charlotte from Knicks Twitter, the Twitter Spaces, and now Greg here from Riding with the Knicks. Like, it's just good people in the Knicks community that we all need to champion and salute and definitely be behind. So, like I said, click on that link. Go over to his channel, hit that like button, subscribe, do all that good stuff, man. He deserves it. I wouldn't steer you wrong, and John won't steer you wrong either, because John was the one. Whenever John brings somebody to me, I know it's like the real deal. I got to check him out. Right. So, yeah. So, John, any final words, brother?
Yeah, man. Like I always say, let's go Yankees! Woo! Yeah. Sorry. All right. Peace and prosperity to all out there. Blessings to all. And I'm looking forward to the next one.
All right. Yuck it up, buddy. Yuck it up. It's cool. Yeah, man. Once again, this was dope. Thank you to our guest, Greg from Riding with Knicks, for being here with us. Thank you to you guys in the chat for being here. Sometimes I get a little too busy, but I'm going to do it on the way out. Wilson Dang, King Poppy, The Public Enemy #1, Core Mega, White Falcon, Mark Alvarado, Billy Goat, Sean Kearns. Appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for tuning in and rocking with us. As I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Oh no, another Yankee hat. Oh no!
It just happened to be it's just in the car. It's just in the car. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Man,
we got the Knicks though. We got the Knicks hat, so it's all good. We rock the
Knicks. Oh boy. As I always say, tell a friend who tells a friend who tells another friend. Still Knick fans. We'll be back again. I got to get some Met influences up in here, man. This is crazy. This is disgusting. All right. Thank you guys for being with us. This has been another great show. We'll catch you on the next one. I guess check us out on the NBA Report this Thursday at 8 p.m. I don't know if we're going to have a guest or not yet. We're still working on things. But if not, it'll still be a good show. John and I will try to give you the best best info we can and you know, let you know what's going on around in the NBA. But we'll catch you on the next one. It's been another good one. I don't have a long outro, guys, so it's just going to be quick. But thank you for tuning in, and you know, have a great rest of your night. I'm going to eat dinner or something. I got to eat something, maybe some cereal. I found these great, you know, strawberry milkshake frosted flakes. Ooh. All right. Enough. Don't get jealous. It's cool.
Look at you.
All right, y'all. We'll catch you on the next one. Later.
See ya.